Jesus was out for a walk on the beach and he saw Peter and his brother Andrew fishing, he thought that looked like fun, so he was like, "Hey, want to come try that out on some people?" And Peter and Andrew were like, "Yeah, sure," without asking for any sort of clarification. Peter traveled around with Jesus for quite a while, along with the other 12 apostles, but not his wife, though the duo pop in for a visit when his mother-in-law gets sick. Now, Peter was one of the more aggressive disciples. He was the first person in history to go from declaring that Jesus was the Messiah to acting like Satan, in all of 10 verses. He was also the guy who chopped off a soldier's ear when they arrested Jesus, and then went into town expecting no one to recognize him as the guy who had just chopped off a soldier's ear while arresting Jesus, and denied Christ 3 times before getting scolded by a rooster. Other points of interest include jumping out of a boat in the middle of a storm, walking on water, and then remembering that it was storming. Now, after Jesus died, Peter went back to fishing for actual fish because the whole people thing was getting too difficult. Enter Jesus. One might expect Jesus to be upset with Peter for the whole rooster thing, but since he's Jesus, he offers absolution after a responsive prayer said 3 times. Immediately following this, he tells Peter that his name is now Rock, and that he's going to be the foundation upon which Jesus builds his church. Peter then asks if that's literal or metaphorical, to which Jesus responds, "Yes, and I'll give you keys." And Peter went, "Sweet." After this point, Jesus went swoop back up into heaven, leaving the fate of the human race in the hands of the 12 apostles. Peter did a bunch more stuff, including founding a bunch of churches and getting yelled at by Paul. He also became the first pope. At the end of his life, he was summoned to Rome to be killed, but he didn't like the idea, so he fled, prompting Jesus to show up and guilt-trip him into returning. He was then crucified upside down because right side up was too good for him, and was then buried, and then the Vatican Church was built on his bones. St. Peter is the patron saint of butchers, fishermen, locksmiths, cobblers, net makers, shipwrights, feet problem, the papacy, and several locations such as Las Vegas and Rome.